Welcome to course content section. The course is split into 14 chapters. Chapter 1 is accounting background. Chapter 2 is manual accounting in Microsoft Excel. Chapter 3 is TallyPrime installation and a company creation and company alteration. Chapter 4 is introductions of a TallyPrime. Chapter 5 is types of vouchers in TallyPrime. Chapter 6 is a record transaction for new company. Chapter 7 is record opening balance in TallyPrime. Chapter 8 is record opening balance with a transaction in TallyPrime. Chapter 9 is bank reconciliation. Chapter 10 is godown and stock creation. Chapter 11 is manufacturing accounts. Chapter 12 is payroll. Chapter 13 is TallyPrime with GST. And the final chapter is backup and restore in TallyPrime. The first chapter is accounting background. Under this chapter, you will learn about what's the accounting and what are the accounting process you are going to learn in this chapter. The second chapter is manual accounting in Microsoft Excel. Under this chapter, you will learn about what's the manual accounting and how to do the manual bookkeeping in Microsoft Excel with a real-world practical example. The third chapter is a TallyPrime installation and a company creation and alteration. Under this chapter, you will learn about how to install the TallyPrime, as well how to create the company and how to alter for the company. You will learn in this chapter. Chapter 4 is introductions of a TallyPrime. Under this chapter, you will understand introductions of a TallyPrime and versions of Tally, as well the accounts group of TallyPrime. The fifth chapter is a type of vouchers in TallyPrime. Under this chapter, you will learn about the major types of vouchers in TallyPrime used, such as control voucher, payment voucher, receipt voucher, journal voucher, sales voucher, purchase voucher, credit note voucher, debit note voucher, stock journal, and physical stock. Those are the major type of vouchers we will study in this chapter. Chapter 6 is record transaction for new company. Under this chapter, you will record the new company transaction in TallyPrime with a real world practical example. The practical example demonstrated by the instructor under this chapter. Chapter 7 is a record opening balance in a TallyPrime. Under this chapter, you will learn about how to record an existing company opening balance in TallyPrime, and the instructor given a real world practical example under this chapter, and he will guide you how to record an existing company opening balance. Chapter 8 is record opening balance with a transaction in TallyPrime. Under this chapter, you will learn about how to record an existing company opening balance with a transaction in TallyPrime with a real world practical example. The practical example demonstrated by the instructor. After that, you understand how to record an existing company opening balance with a transaction in TallyPrime. Chapter 9 is bank reconciliation in TallyPrime. Under this chapter, you will learn what's the BRS, bank reconciliation statement, and how to reconciliation bank statement in TallyPrime. Then why the bank account balance differ from bank statement. End of the chapter, we will practice the real world practical example for bank reconciliation in TallyPrime. Chapter 10 is godown and stock creation in TallyPrime. Under this chapter, you will learn about what's the godown and how to create the godown in TallyPrime, and what's the stock, how to create the stock in TallyPrime. Finally, you will practice the real world practical example in TallyPrime under this chapter. Chapter 11 is manufacturing accounts in TallyPrime. Under this chapter, you will learn about what's the manufacturing account in TallyPrime and what's the BOM, bill of material, and what's the manufacturing journal, and finally you will practice with the real world example under these manufacturing accounts in TallyPrime. The chapter 12 is payroll. Under the payroll, you will learn about what's the payroll and how to enable the payroll and statutory features in TallyPrime. Then the 5 steps for payroll process in TallyPrime you're going to learn. After that, you will practice with the payroll in TallyPrime. Chapter 13 is the TallyPrime with the GST. Under this chapter, you will learn about what's the GST, what are the model of GST, what are the common GST rate, and what is the common GST rate with the example. Then the process of GST setup you will going to learn. Finally, you will practice with TallyPrime with the GST. The final and last chapter is chapter 14, backup and restore in TallyPrime. Under this chapter, you will learn how to back up the company's data file, as well how to restore the company's data file into TallyPrime. So don't lose your time. Let's enroll with the course and we will meet the first chapter.